Okay, I think we should get started. Yeah. So, welcome to everybody. This is our fall Biodesign Town Hall. So thank you for coming. We'll try to do these like at least once every semester. I think that seems to be about the right level. So traditionally the first thing we do is welcome all the new people. So if you've never been to one of these before, can you stand up? So if I were President Crow, I would think each of you tell us who you are and what you're doing. But I don't think we have time for all that, so we're going to keep moving. But you can all talk to them after. One thing just to point out that you may have noticed is we're not going to do the after hours after this event. We've kind of separated the town hall from the after hours because all the people who went to town hall in the past were the last people to get to the food, and it wasn't fair. Everybody else was gathering on the food while we're in here doing this thing. So we've separated them, but I think the last after hours worked fairly well. I think we kind of figured out how to separate the food out a little bit, so everybody got to the food without having to stand in long lines and just pitching. So, all right, so let me briefly mention the agenda. So this is basically today's agenda, what we're going to talk about. I'll give you some executive summaries of what's going on in terms of planning and strategy. Steve will give you his version of all that. Karen will talk about operations, and you'll see the list here, so I won't read them all out to you. So I think the one thing I did want to get to here are sort of two comments. The first comment is at the end we want to do questions and answers, so we're going to try to go relatively quickly through the slides and updates so that you have a chance to ask us anything you want to ask us. And the second half of that is just we really welcome feedback on what is the most useful things for us to talk about at these town halls. So this is really an opportunity for us to sort of share with everybody, you know, what we think is going on, but I think you may have your own ideas of what would be useful. What we found is clearly not everybody in the institute comes to these things. A certain subset of people find it interesting, and so we want to make sure that we tailor this to what you want to hear. So please give us feedback. Any one of the executive team who you see up here today is a fine person to come to, me or Carrie or Tamara or Steve or any of us. Any of us would be fine to talk to and tell us what we'd like to hear at these meetings. Okay, so let me dig right in. The first thing I want to talk a little bit about is just to remind you about some upcoming special lectures. As always, we're bringing in some esteemed scientists from around the country and sometimes the world to come speak to us. Many of them are people that we hope might consider moving to ASU and joining Biodesign and starting centers. And so it's always important for you to attend those seminars because if they see that there is enthusiasm, they see that there is a community, if they see that there are people who are interested in hearing about cool science, it will make it a much more attractive place for them to want to come and settle down. So the first of these is Tim Long. He will be visiting us early in October, so October 10th, 11th. He's a chemistry professor working in a space called green chemistry. We've talked a little bit about this in the past. It's hard to find people in this space. There are not a lot of them, but as you know, we live in a society built almost entirely upon things made with chemicals, and most of the chemistry that we use to build almost all of our materials involves organic synthesis and organic compounds and petroleum products. And obviously, we'd love to get away from that. The byproducts from that are enormous and not great for the planet. And if people like Tim are developing approaches to build the same stuff, but doing it in a much more sustainable way. And so we think that that's the kind of research that should be going on at the Institute. We're hoping that we can convince him to come and build a center here around that area. And then another one that's coming a little bit later in the season, early in December, is Paul Bergenrother. And Paul is studying antibiotic resistance in screwball. I don't know how much all of you are following that problem, but it is a huge problem. You know, in the middle part of the 20th century, we thought we had totally licked the whole problem of bacterial pathogens. We worked out a series of antibiotics that would kill most of them. However, people overuse them. People forget to take their full series of medications, and probably even more to the point, people give them to livestock The chemicals wash off the livestock, it ends up in sewers, and it ends up in the sewage system where the presence of those chemicals basically sets up an evolutionary selection for bugs that are resistant to those drugs, which then circle back into our population. And there are bacteria that we just simply can't kill anymore. And people are dying from these bacteria. They're multi-drug resistant. And there are some who say that this is probably going to get us before the climate problem does. So we really need to start thinking about how to deal with that problem. And Paul is an expert in this area. So I would encourage you to come and hear his talk in December. And then, as you know, we're looking for a leader for the Neurodegenerative Disease Research Center. And we have 2 candidates coming. I think they're both in the fall, right? Yeah, one is in October and one is in November, and the dates are listed here, so you can see the 17th and the 18th November. Both of them are experts in this field. Both of them, I think, generally have a sort of genomic slant towards this approach. And so I'd encourage you to come to hear those folks as well. Okay, and then I do want to mention Robert Kano. This one's a little bit different because he's hired. He has joined us. He will be coming in January. So Robert is a world expert in quantum materials. His field of research fits perfectly with the kind of stuff that we're doing with the CXL. And in fact, he is coming to lead that effort. So he will essentially be the sort of director of the CXL, because as that device gets built, we're going to need to turn it into a core facility of some kind, and someone needs to oversee all that, and he's agreed to do that. He's also going to be setting up his own laser lab here on the first floor of Building C over there. And he just, I think yesterday, was elected to the American Physics Society, right? Yeah, so he's now a member of that. So that's a big deal. So we're very excited about him. Okay, some more good news. I don't know how many of you have been down to the basement of Building C recently? Okay, so small. So I would encourage you to get down there. It is not what you saw before. So the last time you went there, it was sort of an empty shell with an empty vault, and all these various rooms that were pretty much empty and kind of framed out. Everything is filling up in there rapidly. The team has been building feverishly over the summer. Believe it or not, mostly by undergraduates, because it turns out that this is really very much an IKEA problem. Basically, we have all kinds of materials, and we have all these drawings, and we just have to follow the drawings to fit the pieces together, and they can build it. It's that easy, really. So you can see that this is temperature regulated. It's going to regulate temperature to 0.001 degrees. Is that right, Justin?
Pretty precise, yeah.
Yeah, I think it has to be precisely 0.001 degree of what you set it at. And that all that is sort of water that's getting heated and pumped and temperature adjusted. And there are like 3 of those devices that these undergraduates built over the summer. These are they're called T-frames. That everything's going to get set upon. You can see that in the vault now they've got the whole lineup for where the accelerator system is going to be set up. The laser lab has also been occupied. So it's a whole different animal down there, and I think we really are looking for things to be turned on either later this year or certainly early next year. Another thing to mention is in early November, ASU is hosting a nature conference. So these are really prestigious conferences essentially run by the journal Nature. This one is specifically on functional dynamics, looking at the kinds of structural biology that goes on both here at ASU and also that will be going on in the CXL. These are both Nobel laureates who will be speaking at that meeting, as well as a whole lineup of just incredible scientists who will be here for that. And if this is a field of research that you're in, I would encourage you to attend it. Certainly you won't have to pay for hotels or anything like that. And the price is actually pretty reasonable for this kind of conference, because usually these things are pretty expensive. So certainly would encourage you to go to that if you can. And I think there are still some. Okay. By the way, I should say Petra is organizing this, so she's on the committee for selecting all the speakers for this. Okay, I will mention we now have a signed agreement as of like 4 days ago. I was just in Chengdu, China. We have a signed agreement with the West China Hospital, Huaxi Hospital. Huaxi Hospital is the #1 scientific research hospital in China. They have a huge population of patients. They do outstanding research, really good scientists, and we have agreed to build sort of a combined Biodesign Institute China. So essentially, they're going to create centers within the hospital that mirror the kinds of things we do here. So they'll be hiring faculty, we'll be hiring faculty. Together, they will sit under the same umbrella for a common center, for example. And with the idea that, by building that collaboration, we can get more done. And, where this could impact any or all of you, for example, if there are interesting diseases or things that you'd like to study and you have a hard time getting samples for them here, it's possible that you or one of your students, or if you are a student, you might be able to go over there and spend 6 months and work on samples there. Now, they're not going to send the samples here, but you could go there, because they're a partner institution now, and spend some time there, do your experiments, collect the data, and then publish together as part of a collaboration. Or similarly, if they have an expertise and you'd like to bring them to your lab, I'm sure that there are scientists there that could come here and do work in our labs. And so the idea is to kind of create this cross-fertilization and share ideas and do things together. And I'm, in the next sort of 6 months, going to be really looking for folks here who are particularly interested in this idea of working with them. Come let me know, because we really want to make this a reality, so we need to kind of get going on setting up some partnerships and collaborations. My lab is already doing one partnership with one of the groups at the hospital. But they have, as you can imagine, broad expertise across all of medicine. And so there's a lot of possibilities to do things there. Similarly, we are building a similar partnership with Dublin City University in Ireland, and this will be the first Biodesign Europe. Again, same sort of idea. Dublin City University is kind of a little bit more, they don't have a medical school, so it's a little bit more focused on engineering. They definitely have some sustainability research. You can certainly check out the kinds of stuff that they're working on, and they do have links to hospitals in the area, so there may be possibilities. At least our lab is talking about one possibility. I know Rolf's group has done some work with them as well. I think Karen Anderson has done some work with them. So we don't yet have an agreement for a Biodesign Europe. We have an MOU, which is a Memorandum of Understanding, which is the first step towards an agreement. It's not quite as far along as the agreement with Chengdu, but it's coming, so keep your eye out for that. That is what I have, and I am now happy to hand the microphone over to Steve Monk, who will take over the deputy director report.
Thanks, Josh. Well, welcome everybody. Let's see. Okay, so the SIPs for Safety is now awarded 100 certificates. That's a nice milestone. Year's been going. And here you see an example of what we'd like to see. Eye protection, lab coat, gloves, closed-toe shoes, so really from head to toe, well protected. And the idea here is we'd like you to come in, have a safe working day, do some exciting science, and go home in exactly the same condition that you arrived in the morning. And then know everybody is working in a perfectly safe fashion, never going to have an accident at their own bench. But you don't know what the person on a neighboring bench might do. So it's important not only for what you're doing, but for what might be going on at the next bench over. Something else I think is really pretty exciting is the Biodesign Student Travel Grant Program. These are awards that you can apply for, up to $500 to support travel to some worthwhile scientific meeting. Now, I think this is really important for students for a number of reasons. Number one, it's free money, and in the finance world, everybody knows that cash is king. So here you can get up to $500. Beyond that, it's a chance to go to a scientific meeting, present your work, interact with your peers, and perhaps people who might want to hire you in the future for either a postdoc or a permanent position somewhere. So that's very good. Something a little more subtle that many students may not fully appreciate is it's a line on your resume. And these kinds of lines really are important as you start thinking about what's next in your career. So I encourage you to apply for awards like this, and also, although it's not really on the slide, think about things like NIH, NSF, pre-doc awards, and NSF, NIH, American Cancer Society postdoctoral fellowships. Again, those are very nice awards to have on your resume. Employers look for those sorts of awards as they make hiring decisions. These awards are funded through Sunday Giving Day. There's an application date coming up very quickly, the 1st of October, so again, please make sure that you apply for these awards. With that, it's my pleasure to introduce Anna Shore, who is one of our award winners, and she had a very wonderful experience that I think she's going to share with you about what the travel grant funded.
Hi everyone, my name is Anna Shore. I'm a second-year PhD student in Marco Mangoni's lab, and we use a small nematode called C. elegans as our model organism. And even though it doesn't seem like it would have a lot to do with human health and pertinent research, we actually have a lot of connections to human health diseases, and there's also been multiple Nobel laureates who have worked with C. elegans win prizes. And I was fortunate enough to actually meet Martin Chalpy, who won the Nobel Prize in Chemistry in 2008 during my conference at UCLA, the International C. elegans Conference, and that was made possible by this travel grant. So when I was applying for this conference, there were so many costs that I did not even realize. And so this travel grant made that possible for me. And it's kind of a funny story how I met Martin Chalpy. It's the last night of the conference, and we all kind of played this game where we switch name tags, just for fun. And someone knew someone who knew Martin Chalpy. So they brought him over to our group, and we introduced ourselves. But of course, he looks kind of confused because he sees that I have a different name tag, and so-and-so has my name tag. And without thinking, I take off my name tag, hand to him, and he does the same. And so right now, his name tag is actually framed on my living room wall. But one interesting thing, beyond just networking and sharing my scientific research at this conference, which was a huge deal, I met so many people across the world. Martin Chalpy actually told me a very inspiring story. He told me about the night or the morning that he found that he won the Nobel Prize. And he didn't think he was actually going to win it. And so he slept through that phone call, and he found out the next day. And it's actually kind of a funny story when he was talking to his advisor at Harvard, who had always been fairly strict on him. And after he went back to talk to his advisor, he asked his advisor, well, hey, I won a Nobel Prize, and what do you think about that? And his advisor said, you exceeded my expectations. So we can relate to that somehow. But that program really helped me reach out and meet people that I did not even think I needed in my lifetime. And we're actually working on hopefully getting Martin Chalpy to visit ASU maybe in the spring semester. So we'll keep you guys all updated with that.
All right, thank you for that. I have a totally cheesy photo of myself with the, well, it was my first Nobel laureate that I'm first to know only, so I can appreciate the feeling. Okay, a couple updates from the operations side. So updates to the way we are providing services here at the Institute have been kind of on an ongoing basis since I know today, I've been here since 2015, so I'm almost at 4 years now. So just what we've been meeting with center directors, kind of going over all of the individual ways that we support centers in terms of human resources, financial support, administrative support, all those various things, because as it turns out for all of the centers we have about a different model for each of them. So we're making our way through to do, the real objective of this exercise has multiple purposes. One is just to make sure that our staff who are critical to the success of the Institute understand, have a profession, have a group of colleagues that they're working together, have a promotional path, those sorts of things. So it's really about making sure that our staff have clear progression in their careers. It provides a way of us standardizing and beefing up the support that we provide. So if we have a center that maybe has only got one individual that supports them, if that particular individual were to, I don't know, win the lottery, and then we have to try to figure out how to get engaged with that center and help them out. We're trying to make sure that we have some stability in that regard. There are financial considerations about being as efficient and effective as we possibly can be. So We have been working at this for months and months and months. When I actually solicited feedback from the group on what to cover, it's very difficult for me to cover broadly what we're doing because it's actually unique for each center. So I just encourage you, if you have a question, we've been meeting with center directors. If you have questions on how we're advancing in terms of providing that support to your center, please feel free to ask myself, ask Brian, ask Elena, ask those that are involved, ask Heidi if it has to do with Marcom support. But those are ongoing, and we're working sort of with each center to come up with a plan that is customized for their needs. I want to take an opportunity, I know we talked about center director recruiting, but we have new faculty who have joined us this semester, so I specifically wanted to recognize we have Jeremy Weideman, who joined your center. Is he here yet? We have Jeremy. Okay, welcome, Jeremy. And we also, I apologize in advance if I butcher this, Abhishek Shrivastava.
No, might be different. The first name was right. The last name.
Tell me.
So you find me like.
You're giving us 7 minutes of science. Okay, so maybe that, I don't know, is Farhan here? So Farhan had another Abhishek, so you'll have to use your last initials. And he will lead, join Stephanie Center. Is he here yet? You don't have to. He's here in the Phoenix, greater Phoenix metro area. So welcome our new faculty to Biodesign Institute. Some of you may have seen that we had a posting up for a managing director of operations for the Biodesign Institute. So we are looking to find someone who can actually be here all of the time, worrying about Biodesign all of the time, because much to my dismay, I have to split my attention between the Biodesign Institute and other things at the university. And so we are in the thick of recruiting. We're down to 4 finalists that we have presented to Josh. We'll be bringing them in for interviews. And I think I'm going to pick on probably Stephanie, but at least Stephanie, if not other center directors, to meet with them as well. But we're hoping to have someone on board in the next 6 weeks, probably is what we're looking at. But again, a lot of the same things that I do, but full-time with full attention, and I'll be working closely and partnering with them. So look forward to bring that on board, bring that person on board. Just a reminder on lab etiquette. So we have a very open lab concept. You may see some like pipette tips on another person's bench that you could like just borrow real quick. Just keep in mind that open labs do not mean open access to lab supplies from other folks. And so always have to give it, just like Steve gets to do fun safety reminders, I'm doing fun like, hey, if you're gonna borrow something from somebody, like ask first. Okay. Friendly reminder. And then new building updates, just want to keep you posted on the neighborhood. So ISTB 7 is, I think now probably about 9 months delayed, but we are underway now. We had to wait for the nitrogen line to get moved, and then they put it in the wrong place. So we're moving it again. Anywho, we're not bummed at all about that problem. So that one is going to be back on track and still slated for opening in 2021. And we are currently entertaining proposals for faculty and other research teams that will move into that building similarly to the way that we worked with Biodesign C. We have, in much quicker, better news, we have ISTB, what we're calling, you'll hear me, I think, refer to it as ISTB 8, which is our public-private partnership with Wexford and the Phoenix Biomedical Campus. That one is underway. If you have the basic concept of that building, that it's all about entrepreneurial activity, public-private partnership, startups, maybe some creative options if you have a startup for getting lab space in that building associated with your own lab if you wanted to relocate to our Phoenix Biomedical Campus. So if you have any cool ideas or thoughts, I will be able to be much more generous with space for startups in that building than I am in this building, in that I do not let anybody have startup space in this building. So, because it's all about the way that they get funded. So we'll have much more flexibility with Wexford. So if you have startups that you might want to have next to your lab, talk to me about that. And then we have the Health Future Center, which is down by our Mayo, the first building in our Mayo campus. That one is also going along swimmingly, so that's slated to open in fall of 2020. Also in ISTB 8, I'll tell you, we are building the Clinic of the Future. So this is a cool place to do activity, participant-based research where we'll have something that looks a lot like a clinic that you might go to, but way, way cooler. And where you can have easy parking, things like that. If you have sort of interaction with participants, it'll be a good facility for doing that. And it's not assigned, it's sort of available to anybody who has that kind of activity. So those are all exciting updates on buildings. And speaking of our building, we won another award, which was a big deal, LEED Platinum for our Biodesign C building. Super pumped about, so that takes that from 10, and I believe that now brings our total to 32 awards for the complex. Let me just check my notes. I believe it is 32. Is Julie here? No. All right. We'll just go with 32-ish. We get so many of them, it's hard to keep track. So Biodesign C is proving to be as successful in terms of building awards as our existing buildings. So, and then human resources update. We're in the middle of edge conversations. Yay! Yay! Everybody's HR team is well represented up front. So these are, if you haven't done them yet, they're so much easier than performance reviews. Get in there and do them because you've got like 4 days left. But at any rate, so we've seen an uptick in our participation since Josh sent out a friendly reminder to everybody, but we are not yet where we need to be. So these are really important. Again, you can do them in like 10 minutes if you need to, but of course we prefer that you take 30 and talk about what has been happening and goals for next quarter. So if you haven't done them, they're so easy. You can do them today. You probably have time after we're done here. So I'm just going to encourage everybody to do that. And a couple of other updates on that. We did have 33, I know I only had a few people stand up, but 33 new Biodesign hires since August. So we are bringing in people at a rapid pace. And then we do have a couple of updates we have a new LinkedIn recruiter account, so work with your HR team if you want specialized recruiting capabilities, because we do have some new offerings there. Since we are so actively hiring, we have some new offerings. And that's what I have for the group. And I'm going to welcome Carrie up. All right. Okay, so Josh referred to this a little bit ago, but how many of you came to the after hours that we had last month? By raise of hands. Oh, good, a lot of hands, great. Well, I hope that you'll find, and I'll share with you a little bit, some of our expanded offerings for our programs and activities. So I hope that you found, if you didn't come to that town hall, that you'll come to the one in the spring. But we're really trying to mix up the way that those are put together so that there's way more time for you to interact with your colleagues, eat, enjoy, and really spend some time. And we love seeing that many of you were there and we were scooting people out the door. So we're excited to see all the exciting scientific conversations going on. I also wanted to make you aware of on our Biodesign website, there's a contact us little box. And if you go under that, there's a request a tour. How many of you have ever provided a tour or are asked to provide tours? Hands up. Okay, a lot. That's what we thought. Our old form was a little bit challenging to figure out. Lots of boxes, lots of questions. We're trying to find out how many people are coming to Biodesign, because the requests for tours, they're growing exponentially. People want to come to this place. They're excited about the work that you're doing, and so we're trying to track that. So we're thrilled if you're giving tours. We actually have this formal touring system with a tour coordinator who can help kind of organize that. But if you can get it in the tour portal, we'll have better metrics to help us know how many people are coming here to Biodesign. The other thing I wanted you to know about is we have formed a Biodesign administrative network. So Tamara talked about some of the exciting things going on operationally and administratively. But we wanted to be sure that we are leveraging the incredible army of administrators who are here trying to help improve the processes, create efficiencies. And you'll notice on Biodesign Commons, on our intranet, we are posting a lot of different resources there. So if you're wondering about how would this apply to me, how could I
get this travel organized quickly? Who do I contact for an event? What about onboarding? Where should I go? What should I do? We're providing a lot of resources, so keep checking on Biodesign Commons as we're getting things kind of organized. We're posting it there and hoping that there will be a lot of self-serve resources for you. And then I wanted to be sure to mention service opportunities. I met recently with our grad ambassadors, and they said, well, we didn't know that there were so many volunteer opportunities at Biodesign. If you've been here for a while, you know that we care about giving back to our community, and we volunteer and we help and we support. We've got homecoming coming up, and we also have United Way. Hopefully you noticed President Crow sent information around United Way, but for us at Biodesign, it's a way to kind of come together, celebrate, and participate in one way or another. Whether or not you choose to donate, we have a lot of fun activities planned. So just know that there's ways to volunteer, and we hope that you'll take advantage of that. All right, and then the last thing, who knows that we have notaries here at Biodesign? 1, oh, 2, okay. Whew. Okay, there's about 6 of you. Okay, good. Professionally, personally, you may find that you need documents notarized. We have 3 notaries here at Biodesign. Again, we're trying to just make that service available to you. Know that it's convenient and can kind of save time and help you with any of those documents that you may need a notary for. So details to follow, and again, on Biodesign Commons. And lastly, at our scientific retreat, we had this incredible student hackathon. So we invited grad students, and we had someone who had presented all these great ideas. They said, we would love, as grad students and postdocs and even undergrads, we want to hack these different challenges at Biodesign. How can we have our voice heard? What can we do? How can we enable grad students at Biodesign? How can we maybe even improve their experience working in partnership with the academic unit and with the grad college? And so we now have, and this is part of Josh's strategic plan as well, to help build and develop these students. But we now have these Biodesign grad ambassadors, and we're organizing incredible events and activities, and we're having great turnout and success. And so with that, I want to introduce Amar and Heather, who are going to tell you a little bit about our grad ambassadors.
So one of the best facets of this institute is how the culture kind of adjusts to the needs of the scientists here, and as scientists at all levels, whether that be PIs or students, and not just graduate students, but undergrads and postdocs as well. And that kind of opened up the conversation, well, how can we accommodate students' needs? So alongside Heather and Peaches, we went to Josh and asked, hey, can we start kind of a forum for students to get students' ideas heard, and how to make some systemic changes at the institute to better enable students' learning and better enable their conduction of science. And through that, that's kind of how the Biodesign Student Ambassadors started. And our sole purpose really is to hear what students want and then make some changes and make this place better. I'll let Heather kind of talk about some of our upcoming events and kind of some of the more things that we want to do.
Sure. So we have recognized in our interactions with students and with the executive team that most of the students in Biodesign are getting an incredible scientific training. They're taught experiments and good presentation skills, but we've heard from a lot of students that there are a couple areas where they feel that they might be lacking. So a lot of students are interested in really, when they submit for publication, doing the whole package. They want to be able to do their own statistics and their own graphic design, and really know how to take that process from start to finish, especially if you want to be a professor. So we've actually started organizing specific seminars on statistics for scientists and graphic design. So it's not a class, you don't have to pay for it, you don't have to go for the whole semester, we organize it on your behalf. We contact the professors, we come up with the material. All you have to do is RSVP and show up, and someone can, so we have Chad Borges, who's gonna do an introduction to statistics for scientists. So for some of the grad students that are earlier in their career that might not be sure which kind of test to apply to a certain data set, he's just gonna start from the beginning, give you an overview and sort of direct you as to what kind of questions you should be asking and how you should be packaging that data. And then in the same line, we have Michael Northrup, is that correct? Michael Northrup is going to teach a really awesome seminar on graphic design. And so our hope is that if we have a big enough turnout in the first 2 sample seminars, this is something that we can continue throughout the year. And we can also listen to the student and postdoc feedback. And you can actually say at the end of these seminars, you know what, if these are not the 2 areas that I'm deficient in, if you could actually do a seminar in something else, we can then take that information, go to the executive team and design a new seminar that fits what your needs are. So we're super excited about that. And then one last thing before I give the mic back to you is we hosted basically a lunch for the purpose of social networking. At the hackathon, we had a lot of feedback that there are graduate students that are feeling isolated in the community. Some of them are in C, some of them might be the only grad student in their lab, and they're just not necessarily feeling connected to all the students in biodesign. So we hosted a lunch that really was more successful than we ever expected it to be. The only requirement was that you showed up and you had lunch and you stayed till the end. We bought food for 30 people and 70 kids showed up. So I'm so sorry we ran out of pizza. But it was amazing and it was so much fun and everyone stayed until the end and we were so proud of the turnout. But of those 70 people, 4 postdocs came, even though they were all invited. So we're hoping for better postdoc turnout. And on top of that, we're really hoping that there's one postdoc in the audience, if not more, that's actually interested in being involved in an organization like this, someone who might want to represent the postdoc community, because we obviously can't specifically address those needs because we're not postdocs yet. So you can contact myself, Amar, or Peaches if you're actually interested in joining our group and coming to meetings with the executive team to communicating and advocate for the postdoc community.
And one of the kind of the final things that is really our big goal is to have the pathway for scientific careers is very confusing, especially for early scientists. And one of the things beyond seminars we hope to implement is more career development workshops and meetings with people from a variety of different industries, especially outside academia, to get more exposure to these kind of things so students can make kind of better decisions about what to do with their future and what to do with their degree. So if you're really passionate about that or know people outside that would love to talk to grad students about that, please reach out to us. We'd love to chat with them. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And with that, now we've got a moment from Jason Steele.
All right, thanks. Howdy, folks. So for those of you who don't know me, I've been at ASU in biodesign for just over 10 years. I started in Josh's lab building the genomics core and then on to looking after the biosciences core. So a little background, roughly 2 years ago, Knowledge Enterprise centralized a significant number of core facilities on campus into 6 large facilities, each representing different fundamental capabilities of ASU research. So I represent biosciences, which is genomics, can't get this wrong, bioinformatics, mass spectrometry, flow cytometry, advanced light microscopy, and soon to be released a new regenerative medicine center, which is going to be a combination of flow cytometry, live cell imaging, and a stem cell research training facility. So we're really excited about that. All right, so a few highlights. All right, fair enough. So the core website. You can check out all of the centralized Kent Core websites up on the new website. This includes biosciences, this includes chemical and environmental characterization, NanoFab, the Iron Material Center, research computing, and all of them are centrally located. You can really check them out. Up there you'll find all of our capabilities, you'll find pricing, templates, etc. Thank you, Heidi and the web team for an amazing job putting that website together. All right, secondly, Biosciences newsletter. I suspect a number of you have received a Biosciences newsletter from me. I wanted to be able to bring the community together and really reach out to students and postdocs and faculty, anybody who is associated with biosciences, and be able to provide a way to share what upcoming trainings that we have, seminars, faculty improvements, and publications, etc. So please keep a lookout for a Biosciences newsletter, and if you have any recommendations, we're happy to hear from you. And lastly, just a blurb about each one of our facilities. So genomics has partnered with the University of Colorado and has dramatically reduced cost for next generation sequencing. So we're really excited about that. You can talk to Joy Blaine, who runs the genomics facility now. Also, keep a lookout in November. We're having a genomics user group meeting that day. We've got great faculty from ASU. We've got folks coming down from KU to give microbiome talks, so keep a lookout for that. What else we got here? Please keep a lookout for our bioinformatics technology seminars that will be happening throughout the semester. Shen Yang is going to talk about advanced techniques, analyzing single-cell genomics and guide CRISPR RNA libraries, etc. Our advanced light microscopy core upstairs are the proud new owners of the Zeiss 880 confocal microscope, so that's up. You can go ahead and check that out. And then flow cytometry, as I mentioned before, is going to sort of join what was the Keck Imaging facility to release the new Regenerative Medicine Center. And we're very excited to announce that Dr. Tim Carr over there has accepted the manager position for the mass spectrometry core. And Tim brings an amazing amount of proteomics expertise to the core facility here. So that we're really excited. I'll be around afterwards. Anybody has any questions?
So you guys face now, right? Okay, so really quickly, as Jason mentioned, we in strategic marketing do a lot of websites. Courses one of them, and it's a great site. So, the Biodesign website, the front homepage has been redone. The team's redone that. We're getting some really strong customer feedback on that before we do the full site. So if you haven't seen it lately, you might want to take a look at it. Many of you have noticed the serpentine wall down in the foyer. It's just, how many of you have read it? Great. Were you surprised to see all that information in one section and say, okay, I didn't know that. Did you learn something new? Wow, okay. Nod. Check it out if you haven't seen it. There's a new digital newsletter out. If you're not on the newsletter, and this goes out to about 4,000 people, you can sign on to it at Biodesign website. Carrie already mentioned Biodesign Commons, the intranet, so I won't go through on that too much, but that's another portal. But what's important about that portal is it's a two-way communication piece. It's not just information coming at you. You can bring back information to us to say, hey, did you know this? Have you seen this? No, I don't like that. So that's the nice thing about that is the two-way communication portal. The other piece on the third floor, almost pretty much directly above here, if you need materials, you're having people come in, you're having perhaps funders come in, you want to know, hey, what's the economic impact? What has Biodesign done, the whole institute done in FY 2019? All those materials are available for you on the third floor. It's been redone, so all you have to do is walk in and pull out as many brochures as you want. Anything that you need that will help support your cause is there. So I welcome you to have this. It's also available on Biodesign Commons. If you say, hey, Heidi, actually we need these in multiple languages and they're going abroad, so I just need them digitally, they can be found on Biodesign Commons. Besides just strategic marketing and digital work, we also, out of the group, handle media relations along with ASU's media relations team. Just to put some numbers behind things, with the news, and this is all of your news, we just write it, but it's actually all the great work that's being done here at the Biodesign Institute. In the last 12 months, there have been over 3,000 mentions. That averages out to 62 mentions every single week, 52 weeks, with an aggregate readership of over 500,000 people around the world. And if we were to pay for it, it would be a price tag of $9 million. So you guys are doing some great work, and I thank you.
Yeah, so again, I'll do a very quick introduction. I do want to just encourage and reiterate what Heidi said about the importance of these brochures and things. A key one, as you all know from last year, philanthropy makes a big difference to us. Grant support is phenomenal. We rely on it. We can't do without it. But probably most of you realize that it covers about 80% of the cost of what we need to do. There's always that gap between what it really costs to do the work and what you get funded to do the work. And we're hoping that we can make up some of that gap with philanthropy. And the best way to establish philanthropy is to just spread the word on who we are. Because a lot of the community doesn't know about biodesign yet. And so the more we can get the word out about who we are and what we're doing, the more that we become recognized as an entity doing important things, the more people will come to us with philanthropic ideas and funding. So really, take advantage of those brochures, that material, hand it out to anyone you see. The other thing that's helpful is sending it out to faculty members and other places who might consider a career at ASU, because we're always looking to get good people. So, all right, so I'm going to introduce Abhishek Singaroy. Did I get that right? Yeah, so we're going to call him Abhishek 1, because I think he was actually first. And you're here, and saying he's not, so you're going to be number 1, and he's going to do 7 minutes of science.
Okay, hopefully we are. The last time I was talking here was my interview actually, so it's good to be back. It's like a proper sport. Okay, so yeah, we are here. Okay, so we are located, my group is located in Biodesign C, the 3rd floor there. So we are a bunch of what you call computational biophysicists. We like to take computers and use computers as a microscope. So this theme of computational microscopy started in the University of Illinois at Beckman Institute, and then we are here now at Biodesign Institute, taking a part of this and moving that forward. So we already have a lot of friends in the university. It's 1 year, so the group has just finished its first year, and we have grad students, postdocs, and various colleagues. So what does this computational microscopy mean? So you see, of course, I have it that. And when you zoom in, you see like a leaf under the water. Then you zoom in even further. Now your eyes cannot work any further. It's a cell. It's an image for now. And then using experiments, people get data. And we refine that data even further to look into cell organelles and look them at all atom details. This is the first model of a cell organelle resolved at each and every atom. You can literally, the molecular formula for water, for sulfuric acid. Here's the molecular formula for a cell organelle. A very simple one, but we can now write this molecular formulas. It will be like C million, H 2 million, something like that. But it's fine, it looks like it. So that's what a computational microscope ends up doing. It really allows you to see things at very, very high resolutions. With that, of course, so what the underlying thing that's happening is you take your molecule, you break it into balls and springs, a very poor word doing chemistry, then you do some physics, solve Newton's laws of equation, do some maths, run this calculations billions of times per second on the supercomputers. We actually use the biggest supercomputer in the country. Our software managed to do that for us. And by doing so, you end up seeing molecules in motion. Here you see a protein folding. You start with a random coil, which is not biological, and this protein folds. You're literally solving Newton's equation a billion times per second. Very, very simple maths, but done a lot of times parallel on these computers to end up seeing molecules in motion. With that, of course, what we have been able to do now is we have been able to convert a lot of very different types of expensive experimental data at different resolutions from proteins up to the cell. We have gotten it with image then, if I may, using computational microscopy, and we have been able to construct all atom detail models of proteins, motors, molecular movements inside the cell, going up to cell division. Only this morning, we mentioned Hakan Frank at the Nobel Prize in 2017, so our paper got minor revision, should be accepted soon. We are, so in a way, ASU is very, very integrally associated with people who are interested in structural biology. And I think biodesign is a very good space for doing this sort of research. Of course, we are not selfish. These tools are available on the cloud. We have benchmarked them. They're not very, very expensive to use. So they are all available, and computational microscope is up on the clouds now. So okay, we made a microscope. What do we want to do with that? What are our applications? So the first thing is you can think of predicting phenotypes. There has been a great progress of, if you know a genotype or something, then can you end up predicting the phenotypes? Phenotypes means behaviors, growth, for example. So last Sunday, we were very, very happy. Our first cell paper got accepted. We managed to determine growth cell doubling times based starting from a molecular detail picture. So this is a photosynthetic cell organelle. This is possible in the first cell paper from Biodesign. I have to check that. But so this is what here microscope can start from molecule and you can literally see roots of life coming out. So this is one example of such an endeavor. The next thing we are after is periodic tables. We all know what periodic tables are. We have seen periodic table of elements. Can we start thinking of periodic table of proteins, particular kinds of proteins, for example? If in today's day one would have to rewrite the periodic table, one would use something called machine learning. Can we use machine learning to actually make periodic tables of these particular kinds of proteins? It's called ATP synthase. Each one of us actually generates around 75 kilograms of ATP every day in our body that keeps us running. Can we figure out these sort of motors and identity? So these structures are very well known. Can we find their functions and distinguish them between parasites versus normal cells? That's the sort of thing that you can actually start looking into with the various things. There's some of the examples that are ongoing. Third thing is about molecular origins of pathologies. There's a protein called FACT. It's a biomarker for certain kinds of cancer. Can you look into very, very close details? And from the molecular physics, you start out your story, and can you end up learning about patient mutations from molecular biophysics? So this is the kind of, another example of finding. And then I will give one final example. The mitochondrial crystal. So the powerhouse of cell is mitochondria. That's where we all get our energy. That if you see cartoons in books, in textbooks, there are those finger-like things. This will work. These finger-like membrane shapes that you see in mitochondria. How do they actually look like? What is inside that? So actually using this computational imaging techniques, you can see them in all atom details. This is like this finger is now kind of imaged almost in all atom detail. We haven't been able to do that completely, but a part of it. And we have, so it has proteins that looks like super complexes. So these proteins on the surface of your mitochondria, they're not separately found. Sometimes they're found separately, but a lot of times they're found together as clusters. What's the advantage of that? So there was a part of this protein that was not resolved. So we started doing what we call protein folding simulations. Fold this protein inside the supercomplex. And then what we figured out is that this particular protein that was not known before, this particular orange part, acts as an anchor to transport one protein from a part of the mitochondria to another. Now it's a very important anchor. This protein called cytochrome C is actually an electron carrier. Normally, if this anchor wouldn't have been present, there is cytoplasm all around here. This protein would have got lost in the cytoplasm, the electron would have been lost. The impacts of that is the cells age very fast. One of the reasons our cells age is because of loose electrons hanging around in the cell. That's why you often use antioxidants to remove those electrons and de-age. This is nature's mechanism of ensuring that, normally speaking, healthy cells don't age as much, because this protein would act as a hook and allow electron transfer in a very targeted way, rather than losing the electrons and aging. I think that was my last science example, because we love collaborating. We are literally taking a lot of the students in the lab are working with researchers all around the world. And so I think really Biodesign Institute allows us this possibility of taking Arizona to the world, if I may, in our small ways. So with that, then thank you. Thanks for this opportunity.
Okay, very cool. So we're getting closer to the end. This is the part where we start trying to recognize some of the great things that you all have been doing. The first of these is some exciting high-performing faculty awards. So these are various groups that have done some big things this year. The CXPEL team got a very nice donation from the Buse family. You can see Chun Chen got a big award from Green Bios. And then I'm not going to read all the names here, but you can see a number of our faculty have done very well. I think this goes through July, is that correct? Yeah. All right, well, anyway, let's give these people a hand.
This is just to recognize a number of centers that did a big job in sending in proposals. So I think one of the fundamentals that we've learned about grants is that if you don't submit them, you don't get them. Go figure. Yeah. So one of the things we're encouraging is for people to submit grant applications. And these folks have done that in spades. These are all centers that have submitted more than 131 million last year. So let's give them a round of applause. And then a number of centers have gotten new awards in the last year, and this is to recognize that. So you can see in maroon 2018 and in yellow 2019, these are all centers that managed to grow their bottom line over the last year. And there's quite a few of them there. We got there about 10. So yeah, it's a good fraction of our institute. So last year was a very good year. The year before had been a big year in proposals. So last year we had a lot of awards. This last year we didn't have as many proposals. So we're going to try to get you all to start rethinking the whole proposal thing again this year so that you keep that cycle going. So anyway, let's give these folks. And then these centers all had increased numbers of investigators with awards, and then you can see there were 8 centers that had more than $2 million in annual expenditure. So again, you know, pretty healthy for the institute. I think it's been a good year. So we'll get these guys. Okay, and then some very specific individuals. So Stephanie is here. She got the 10-year most influential paper by the International Conference on Software Engineering. So, and Grant is hiding in the back. Grant's startup company, Oncolix, did a phenomenal job in raising Series A funding, $25 million this year. So let's get that. And then Hao is right back there. He was named one of Fast Company magazine's 100 most creative people for business in 2019. I don't think John Spence is here. But anyway, John published Lightspeed, the ghostly ether, and the rays to measure the speed of light. Once again, demonstrating how the English like to use extra vowels. Okay, now this year, as you all may remember, what we used to hand out all these patents and high impact paper things, and that took a good half hour to go through every name. So we decided not to do that anymore. They're all outside. So please, as you walk out, look at those, gaze at those, and look at all the people that have done things. And we do have a paper listing of everybody who's on it. If you want a copy of that paper, Carrie or Kathy in the back have those. Yeah, so that's what I just said. So yeah, we had a lot of activity, and it's getting to the point where just too many people to announce in here. Okay, so with this, I'm going to bring up Alma to talk about upcoming events.
Hello, I'm Alma Douglas with Biodesign Events, and we are a team now. We're located on the 3rd floor, room 308. You might see us. We always have the door open, kind of a loud group. So stop by anytime to say hi. If you're having an event, workshop, conference, we're absolutely happy to help with all the things logistics. We're also located in the Biodesign Commons, so you could submit a ticket and we could help you that way. This Friday, we have Arizona Wellbeing Commons. We have the Knowledge Enterprise Town Hall coming up on October 8th. Arts and Grand Challenges, November 5th, and then the Nature Conference, November 6th through 8th. We are still looking for volunteers. We have a sign-up link. If you're interested, let me know. It's a great way for you to be in the session as a student or volunteering. So great opportunity. United Way campaign. And November 23rd, we have the homecoming. We're going to have a Knowledge Enterprise tent with all all of the departments. Our theme is Ignite Your Mind. So we're going to play with that, and we really are looking for your participation or your help. If your lab or your group has helped with Open Door and has an activity, we would love for you to help us out, and we could hopefully have that event or activity demonstration at the homecoming tent. I know there's a sign up that's going to be going around, and if you also just want to contact me. You do not need to be present. We are more than happy to there's so many volunteers all the time, so if you have your materials, we're happy to demonstrate your science. So that's what we're doing with, homecoming this year.
Just a couple of quick plugs. Just on Arizona Wellbeing Commons, the CEO of AAAS is going to be giving a keynote. I think I sent an email around to many of you about that. So great opportunity. Just to remind you what Arizona Wellbeing Commons is, it is a huge tent that we've erected to bring together researchers who are doing anything related to health anywhere in the state of Arizona. So we invite our colleagues from NAU, our colleagues from UVA, our colleagues from all the various hospitals, both here in Tucson and above. We have social workers come, we have roll board people come, we have insurers come. The idea is to bring anybody who's really interested in research come and meet each other and build opportunities to build collaboration. So in addition to the keynote speaker, the chair of ABOR will be there, and they liked it so much last year that they decided to stay the whole day this time. They're over the moon about this because this is exactly what they want to see happen in the state of Arizona collaborating. So it's right here in Tempe. So I'd encourage you to go to that. And then the other thing I want to plug is not this Friday, but a week from this Friday, we are going to be the first of our Friday cookouts. So we're going to use this beautiful plaza between B and C that looked to me like a perfect place for a picnic. And we're getting a gas grill. I know it's a little easier than charcoal out here. And we're going to be cooking some hot dogs and preparing lunch. So it's at noon. Yep. It's at noon on October 4th. The idea is to cook the hot dogs slowly so people are forced to hang around and talk to each other. So don't be expecting like a big, crate of hot dogs, put up and go. The idea is to hang around and chat and talk to your colleagues. Okay, so with that, I am going to ask for questions. Do you have any questions? So I'm going to ask the first question. So I'm going to ask Tamara. If I'm a lab and I need to hire a technician, and I've heard that there's a technician in another lab that the grant may be finishing up on and maybe becoming available, or maybe I need a technician for just part-time. What can I do?
You talk to me a lot. John brings up an excellent thing that we are working on in addition to some of the more standard services. Our HR team you'll find that we have folks that are either having their FTE reduced on one grant or even being reduced to 0 FTE for lack of funding while someone else is posting a job for very similar skill sets. So first off, I would encourage you to contact HR if you have a part-time need, because they will be aware of other research technicians. So that's the answer for today. Longer term, we're actually looking to create cohorts of technicians and other folks with similar skill sets that we could sort of pool as a resource for the Institute. And so more to come on that, but right now you can contact your HR team if you have a need for a part-time person to help in your lab, or if you have somebody who has some FTE available that we might be able to help another center, just to try to encourage us to build that community. Thanks, Josh.
Yeah, I specifically wanted to bring it up because we love your input on creative ways to solve this, because it's just silly for us to, for people to, quit a job and then get rehired and have to do the search on it. We have an amazing pool of talent here, and we want to keep it. So we want creative ways to kind of solve this and work it out. So I thought it'd be good to bring this up here to hear your thoughts on that.
Thank you.
Other questions? Tim.
Yeah, I could just scream, yell, holler. Josh, yeah, more of a comment. I just want to let you know that I was actually paying attention to your talk at the beginning, where you mentioned some incoming faculty, prospective faculty. And you showed a slide of two researchers from Brigham Young that you mentioned. And when I read the slide, it just, FYI, it looked like both bios of both researchers were identical. So, unless I get 20 or something.
That would be an amazing coincidence, wouldn't it?
Yeah. So
Thank you. Other questions? You know, we didn't have a slide for the art. Did we mention the artisan lecture?
Alma did.
Oh, Alma did. Okay, good. All right. Just remind you of that. Charlie may be online actually.
Heather and Amar, are they still here?
Yeah.
Do you guys have a website for the students to visit for dates?
So we have, we'll use the mic if we're broadcasting.
Yeah. So currently we're working through the intranet to try to encourage the use of an intranet because that's kind of a common place where we know for sure that every single student is going to have access to. And in the meantime, we're also working on creating maybe like a Facebook group. That's actually something that we were going to wait until the first opportunity of the semester where all the students can give us feedback on what they need. We're actually going to ask them what the student body thinks the best way for us to communicate with them is, because the whole idea is that we're catering to their needs. So some people prefer the internet, some people prefer Facebook. We'll kind of go off of that. But right now it's the internet. And ASU email. Of course, yeah, you can just directly contact myself, Amar, or Peaches.
Any other questions? All right, well, thank you all for coming. Give us your suggestions for next time.